Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Flip Flop Family Podcast. I'm Zaileen. It's always great to be here. I hope you are doing really well. If it's the first time that you're tuning in, you're wondering who are the Flip Flop family, do go back and check out our previous episodes. We have tons of episodes. We have been releasing episodes on this podcast for over a year now. So we cover everything from grief to holidays to teens to parenting to anything that you can really think about that you want to talk about. We pretty much cover it all. So why not go back and have a little listen? Today, you just have yours truly, myself, Zaileen, on this week's episode. And that is because I guess the essence of this episode is how we don't actually let things linger anymore. I feel like life just moves so fast and we move so fast within it that we don't really get a moment to pause. And I'm struggling to get my family to pause to do episodes with me. So that's why you have me on my own today. And I guess the reason that, or the thought that provoked this episode, is that on Valentine's Day, I was super late with getting Ben a card. So I was literally in the card factory on the afternoon of Valentine's Day finding a nice card, and I felt awful because Ben woke me up that day with a really beautiful handmade card, literally coloured in with crayons as he couldn't find the kids' felt tips, but it was really cute and very heartfelt, and I felt terrible because I hadn't even got him a card. So I was in Card Factory that afternoon frantically looking for a card that had words in it that meant something to me, and I noticed that literally one half of the shelf was already empty and there was someone stacking Easter cards on. And I thought to myself, wow, this commercially made event that is Valentine's Day is not even halfway through and they're already clearing the shelves. And that is really the essence of today's episode, about how we just move on so quickly from Valentine's straight to Easter in a heartbeat without even really savouring the occasion. I'm not massive on these kind of commercial days, but it is nice to remind yourself that there are people around you that you truly love, and perhaps you don't always have time to show them how much you appreciate them. So I guess it is a nice reminder to make the people around you feel special. But it's like I said, it's gone before you can even really enjoy it. Ben and I actually celebrated Valentine's Day the day before. So on the 13th, we had a date night. It was the first time that we left the kids without pup, and we went out in the evening and we actually had a really nice date night. We haven't had one in a while. We planned to have at least one date night every month, and we kind of made this vow back in, I think, September. But then with the loss of my dad and him being unwell and everything, it's just taken over the past few months and we haven't really been able to make that time for each other. So I spontaneously booked us tickets to go and see this comedian called Sanya Abbas. Now, she's based in Dubai. She's Indian. You may have seen her on Instagram, and her comedy nights are called Hilarious, and she always has these two kind of kitten ears on her head. She's super funny, and it was a really good night. We went to the Soho Theatre, and then before that we went for a nice Vietnamese dinner at a restaurant which I totally recommend. It's called K Tray, spelled C-A-Y space T-R-E, also in Soho on Dean Street, I think it was. I think they have a couple of restaurants, but we went to the one in Soho and we really enjoyed some authentic pho. Is it pho? I think it is pho. You know, the nice bowl of Vietnamese noodle soup. It was gorgeous, really nice food. And then off to see this comedian. And we had a great night. It was so lovely. So I guess, you know, we celebrated Valentine's Day before the day because, like I said, it was over before we knew it. And I feel like that is the case with a lot of things, you know. Life just moves so quickly and we're just rushing along within it that we scroll through big headlines so quickly on our phone and it's just gone before we can even process it. Everything is replaceable, everything is fast, and everything just moves on. We almost don't get time to sit with joy long enough. We can't sit with grief long enough. As you know, I recently lost my dad, and it's not like I want people to constantly be like, oh, how are you feeling? Because that is also feels quite awkward. But it's almost like you just move on, or you, from the outside, it looks like you've just moved on, you haven't internally. I actually only just took down my sympathy cards that have been up on the mantle for so long. I'll be honest with you, I have actually had to take down our Christmas family tree. I know you're going to think I'm crazy and that I've got loads of bad luck, but we have one of those, those kind of twig trees that we keep in our front room, and it just has special ornaments on it, like the cute sort of personalized wooden ornaments that the kids have had from when they were younger. And it has two really, really special ornaments, one for my father-in-law and one that my sister got for me recently of my dad. And I just couldn't bring myself to take them down, to be honest. I quite liked looking at them. So that has been up for ages. But our new puppy got into our front room today and nibbled one of the kids' ornaments from 2020. So that has now had to go as well. But you know what? It's been quite nice just leaving these things up. Even looking at these cards that people had given us, during that difficult time through our grief. Just looking at it and reading the lovely words. And some people have literally written heartfelt essays inside. And they really kind of strike a chord. And it's quite nice to reread them and just sit within the grief. Sometimes it's just nice. Like I do torture myself a bit by listening to certain songs that really make me upset and emotional. But I don't know. I think there's something nice sitting in, whether it's sitting in grief or sitting in happiness, rewatching videos of your little ones, or just celebrating a whole week of Valentine's and not just a day. I think it's society and also just the commercial world that does this to us. It's almost like we don't have a choice, like how the Valentine stuff is out, and then literally the next day or even the same day, you can then get Easter eggs on offer. I remember this year actually on Halloween, I went in to go and get my sort of, my half price Halloween bits ready for next year, and they had already gone on sale before the 31st. It's like everything is just getting faster and faster, like as soon as school finishes, you've already got back to school stuff out in the shops. Before you've even finished your Christmas dinner, you can already see people posting about New Year, New Me. I mean, I must admit, even Valentine's went so fast that I wanted us to do a podcast episode all about love, and it just didn't happen because it just escaped us. And I just sometimes feel like we're not allowed to enjoy something once it's not current anymore, And I think it's just the way of the world and how fast life moves. But do we have to move so fast within it? I feel that is the question. I think also we are in a time where everything is so readily available that we've lost our patience and almost our self-discipline. Like we don't have to wait anymore for anything. Anything we want, we can have it there and then. It's easy. It's Amazon. It's there before you can, once you've pressed buy, within a few hours, it's at your door, right? If you're watching something that you love, some episodes on Netflix, you can binge all the way to the end instead of just, waiting. Like back in the day, you'd have to wait a week before another episode. I actually started watching the latest season of Bridgerton, and similar to Stranger Things, they've given a few episodes and then they've waited. So now I have to wait till I think the 26th of February for the next episode of Bridgerton. So it's almost like they're trying to encourage you to wait. Like you can't binge. And I don't know, I think I quite like going back to how it was, having to wait. Like, do you remember watching an episode of Friends on a Friday night and then having to wait a whole week before you could watch another episode? I think that gives you resilience and self-discipline, which I just don't think we have anymore. I mean, when we're on holiday, we're on the plane or we've touched down and we're already editing or uploading photos before we've even experienced the trip. At birthdays, before we even cut the cake, we're planning the theme for the following year. We don't end things slowly, we just sort of replace them. And why don't we let ourselves savor the moment, be in the moment, don't worry about the next thing. It's just so hard to do that, isn't it? Like, why are we always pre-ordering the next feeling? When we lose someone, the world doesn't stop. People bring food for a couple of weeks. They might message, they might call, and then silence from a lot of people, because life does move on. And other than the people that are actually experiencing it, life has to carry on. I mean, even for those who are experiencing it, you almost feel guilty being sad months later, like you should be strong, you should be able to recover and carry on. But grief has almost become quiet and private, because the world just moves too quickly for it. Like, the world doesn't have time for grief. I don't think I had that much time off work, and then I went back in full swing thinking that it was all good. But now I almost feel like I need bereavement leave again, because if you don't take time to process a loss or process a big event in your life, it will creep back up on you. And there is no real right or wrong, but unfortunately in the world, people have to go back to work. The world has to keep moving, and in order to keep moving, it needs people, it needs bodies. So you almost can't take that time to look after yourself and let yourself pause in the moment, no matter what feeling it is, whether it is grief, whether it is happiness, whether it is whatever feeling that you're going through. You almost don't have time to savor it because of the way that things are. Social media will announce a tragedy, and then it will be posting normal content like a few hours later or even minutes later. There's an awkwardness of mentioning someone months on. Like, do we stop saying someone's name because we think others have moved on? Or do we rush our healing because we don't want to be a burden or don't want to bring awkwardness to a day out or a conversation? If we always put on a brave face or post photos to show our transformation or rebranding ourselves constantly, are we actually healing, or are we just presenting that we are? There's almost like a pressure to look okay or a fear of looking stuck. And everybody wants fresh, everybody wants new content. But are you ready to give new content? Take some time and be stuck in whatever emotion you're in. I guess we keep circling back to the fact that capitalism thrives on next. Like, retail never wants you to be satisfied. When you find like an outfit or a look that is on trend that you think is banging, you're like, yeah, I look good, and you just want to wear it all the time. You then see something else. There is always a new season or a new outfit or a new thing that you think looks great, a new trend. It changes monthly, right? They never want you to be satisfied because that's capitalism. Even self-improvement culture says, glow up. I remember the first time someone said to me, have you heard of a glow up? I had no idea what a glow up was, but that's what's going on. Are you having a glow up? Are you leveling up? Are you going to have an upgrade? The newest phone, the best trainers? It's sometimes I just find it all so overwhelming, and it's all just too much. You just want to keep the same pair of trainers you've got for a while. Ben's always like, babe, because Ben has really good trainer game or shoe game. My kids say they always say, Dad, when you're done with your shoe collection, they're already about inheriting his shoe collection. And they're like, yeah, Mum, you're not doing too well. Because Ben's all about trainers. He does have a really good selection, I have to say. Whereas I'm kind of old as gold. I'll only really get a new pair of running trainers when I really need them. I'm quite happy with what I have, It's quite funny, really, how opposite we are. Parenting is another thing that I really feel like I wish we could savor more. When you have a little one, you're always told, enjoy it. It moves so fast. I mean, I give that exact same advice, but it's hard to soak it up when you have a baby because you're just absolutely exhausted. And all of a sudden, that adorable baby phase flies into school phase. And then you're constantly preparing them for the next stage. You don't really get a minute to breathe, to just let them enjoy each phase that they're in. I've said this before, Ben and I have both mentioned that we live for our Google memories, going back. And every time we see a video or a picture of the kids in primary school, we're just like, oh my gosh, how did that go so fast? I remember it like it was yesterday. But it is just so hard to savor the moment. All I feel like we're doing is just managing those transitions, moving from one to the next. And I don't want to rush them through their childhood because the world is rushing me to. So why do we struggle to linger? Silence almost feels awkward. Sadness feels heavy. Even joy can feel vulnerable. And pausing just feels unproductive. And you can almost get a bit of FOMO, like you should be doing the next thing. Like, should you be sitting with your kids and studying for the next thing that's coming along? Or should you be thinking about their future or your future or your financial status or the next thing or your passion? It's like you can't just sit still in the moment. All we're doing is just moving so quickly. And sometimes, especially for me of late, I just feel like it's really uncomfortable. I just want to stay still and just process the moment, what is happening right now, as opposed to what I'm trying to change for the future. We just very rarely sit in the idea that this is enough. I wonder what it would look like if we just lingered a little longer. Because life will move, shops will change, and seasons will most certainly shift. But you know what? We can choose. It's our life, right? We can leave the cards up a little longer. We can say their name as many times as we want. We don't need to rush our healing, and we can sit in joy. Just delay the next thing. The world might clear the shelves, but we don't have to clear our feelings. And I think that is the most powerful thing really to remember, is that it's your life and you can do with it as you please. I think a great tune of the week to go with the feeling of this episode is one that I'd never heard of. You know, it's Benjamin again, playing tunes that I've never heard of. It's called Tiptoe and it's by HYBS. I'm not sure if I'm meant to be pronouncing that as Hibs or HYBS. It's capitals anyway. Again, the song is Tiptoe and I really love the vibe of this song. So do check it out on the Flip Flop Family Song of the Week playlist, which you can find on Spotify. My dish of the week is actually a really easy dish. Now, for those people out there who are in the month of Ramadan and who are fasting, like myself and Emiliana and Zach, half days, he's trying to, which is nice. You may want quick things that you can cook when you are breaking your fast. So today I actually did a slow cooker beef stew, which is on the Flip Flop Family kitchen page. I made it a while ago, but if you just scroll down, you'll find it. It's great if you've got a busy day because you can chuck everything in your slow cooker in the morning and by the time you break your fast, it's done, which is delicious. But my dish of the week is actually a courgette pasta. You can also find it on our Flip Flop Family kitchen page, but it's so great because I love courgettes, but nobody in my house really likes courgettes, so I tend to chop it up into cubes or small pieces and put it in like a slow cook pasta. But this one cooks really simply: onions, courgette and garlic, and then a bit of water. Cooks it till it's soft and literally blend it and add it to cooked pasta and just some cheese of your choice on the top. Mix it all in and nice ground black pepper and salt, and it's so tasty and delicious. I totally overdid it with the garlic. Definitely no vampires coming to this house, but you can obviously adjust the levels. Check out that recipe on the Flip Flop Family kitchen page on Instagram. My savvy tip of the week is heading over to Boots because they have 70% up to 70% off gifting at the moment, so in store and online, which is great to just kind of snap up some purchases if you've got some birthdays coming up soon, or if you just want to pamper yourself, or maybe you just have some advantage points that you want to use up. It's a great time to use it. There are some really good savings on like Elemis, on Liz Earle, on loads of big brands, on Ted Baker, so check it out at Boots. And remember, you heard it here first on the Flip Flop Family podcast. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. We've kind of gone a bit deep, and sometimes we like to have a nice deep episode, you know, to really sit back and reflect and think about it. Because you know what I've realized? The world will always move on. The shelves will change, the decorations will come down, and the hashtags will update. The next thing will arrive whether you're ready or not, and maybe that's just life. But just because the world moves on, it doesn't mean that we have to rush with it. If the flowers are still fresh, leave them there. If the cards still make you smile, let them sit a little longer. If you're still grieving, still healing, still processing, you are not behind. There is no prize for being the fastest to recover. There is no medal for pretending you're fine. And there is no deadline on missing someone. There's no expiry date on joy. Maybe we've confused moving forward with moving fast. Maybe strength isn't bouncing back. Maybe strength is sitting still long enough to actually feel something. To let the birthday linger, to let the holiday settle, to say their name again months later, to admit, I'm not over it yet. To stay in love a little longer, to stay in the moment before chasing the next one. The world might clear the shelves overnight, but we don't have to clear our hearts just because the season changed. So this week, don't rush it. Don't pack it away too quickly. Don't skip to the next chapter before you finish this page. Let it linger, because life does go on, because it doesn't have to sprint. And neither do we. Until next time, I'm Zaileen, and this is the Flip Flop Family Podcast. Bye.